I think in general it's probably something that people find very difficult to talk about, but I don't really understand why when you think about it, because it happens to everyone.
I think in our culture it's, I don't know, we're much less comfortable with kind of thinking about the end of it. I don't know, maybe we're not as spiritual as other countries or something like that.
Well, I don't think people want to talk about dying because it brings it home to you, you know, it's imminent, and the people don't want to think of death.
It's not something that's a common topic of conversation. It would only come up with close friends. I'd definitely say it would never come up at the pub or something like that.
People want to think of the happy times rather than the...
Well, they don't want to think, it's near, do they?
Well, a lot of people's concerns are after death, how they're going to leave, their family, how their feelings are going to be.
I think the problem is that it's a very scary subject. No one knows what happens. There's this whole religion versus science thing that's really scary.
I think it depends on whether they are faced with death soon or later, like if they need to talk about it or if they don't.
I suppose because I'm quite young, maybe it doesn't affect me so much. But I think I feel kind of immune to it. I've got that kind of, that maybe it's slight naivety about it. Whereas people like my parents' age are probably a bit more concerned about it, thinking about it a bit more.
I know that we definitely don't talk about it that often.
It may be different for younger people, but for most people, I'm about my age, and as we're younger, we just didn't really talk about it much.
I think they've become more comfortable than they used to be, and I think that's largely due to things like the hospice movement. But I still think there's plenty of room for expanding how people feel about their end of life, yes.
I mean, I knew because of my mum, I knew that she was really scared of suffering and she didn't want to suffer. And one of the last things she said to me was, I don't want to live like this, because she'd had a heart attack. And so we said we'd talk to the doctors about it. So I was able to talk to my mum about it.
Like in America, people are probably more open, but I think we're probably scared about talking about illness and death.
I think they're comfortable talking about it. I don't know that they really are when they're in their silent space. I don't think anyone's comfortable talking about death to themselves.
Well, I am. So, I think so, yeah.
My nan, she routinely says that she doesn't want to live, so that's a bit uncomfortable at times. Hearing it, but I'm not sure I don't think she's uncomfortable talking about it.
I would probably say I'm not suitable. I would probably want to refer them to someone either who has experienced losing someone, or a professional like a lawyer or a solicitor who can help them make those type of end-of-life decisions.
I think it'd be, not be like annoyed, but kind of it'd be really hard to talk about it. If they're like alive and they want to talk about it, it seems like something you just don't want to think about.
Because there are a lot of legalities that have to be sorted, and you kind of want to do that months prior, because if left to a family, they're already stressed. They've lost the most important person or persons in their lives, and to then have to deal with all the legalities of estates and possessions just compounds it. I would feel it upsetting, but also I'd feel that I'd be comforting them, so it would be something that I would do if that's what they wanted.
Probably it would be, again, something really difficult to talk about, but at the same time, it's, I don't know, I think you're probably the best person. Like, you obviously want to talk to someone you're close to about it, and I think everyone has to kind of face the reality that it's going to happen to everyone.
I guess it would depend on the context. If it was a younger relative who was maybe fearful of death for whatever reason, I'd try and reassure them. But then again, if it was my nan, I probably would be quite comfortable with it, because she seems to be comfortable with it herself. So
I don't mind.
You'd have to have the conversation.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've done it all before, so I do not to other people, but if the family have said we want to sit down and talk about it, then we do.
If I was dying, I'd want it to be nice. I'd want music to distract me. I was with my dad before he died for about 48 hours, and read him some of his favourite books. I read him stories. We talked about, he was quite far gone, he had dementia, but I read him things about journeys and nature and stuff, because I just felt it would help him.
I had a conversation about that with my girlfriend, which is slightly weird, but yeah, no, it's one of those things. The more you talk about it, the more the stigma sort of gets taken away, and I think that's better for everyone.
But then again, my aunt, when she was really ill and I cared for her a lot, she wouldn't talk about it, not at all. And she wouldn't listen to music in case it stirred up her emotions, so I went along with that.
I often think I'd like people to know my wishes. I'd like to plan. It sounds a bit odd, but I would like to plan not so much my death, but what I wanted.
I'd feel completely fine. I've actually talked to my dad about it because he's quite open about it.
And how would you try to go about having the discussion?
Listen to their views first, see how they feel, and try and comfort them and reassure them as much as they could, much as I could, so they, when they leave this earth, that they feel that that they've left some of their decisions and how they felt behind with me.
I would be honoured, actually. I think it was a privilege. Yeah.
I would love to spend all the time in the world that they wanted to spend talk about it. Yeah.